Previously on Three of Cups.
When this is their world that they're living in, you're just a guest, you're just working there, you will then be seen as the problem. Even if you have valid points for why you want to see change.
Random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.
That is why you can't keep folks in the positions that you hire them on for. If you're not transparent about what these people can expect, you can expect turnover every time.
Freedom in community. Random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.
I have to highlight too, people in a higher position. Let's talk management for a minute within these jobs.
What was once one turned into three. Reconnecting.
Are you mentally capable of being able to handle the responsibility of being accountable on both sides, not just from your boss, but also from the people that you manage, because they're people just like you. Yes, you hired them. Yes, you're managing them.
What was once one turned into three. Reconnecting with our family. A safe space to speak authentically.
The level of immaturity and ignorance that enters positions like this are literally what roots and upheaves rebellion of people that are getting managed. It goes back to what I was saying about the employees when they're responding to wanting change. They can't expect change if they themselves aren't even ready to change themselves.
Freedom in community. Random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.
Managers and employees really can learn a lot from each other when it comes to this kind of social dynamic. But, you know, it's very easy to create gray areas when it comes to chain of commands.
Coming up on Three of Cups.
Own it. Own when you are reacting to something. Own it without shame. Own it.
Family, a safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as three. We bring freedom.
How long did you tolerate something to the point that you had a buildup big enough to react in that manner?
What was once one turned into three. Reconnecting with our family.
No. You don't get to tell me to look at myself. I will look at myself when I want to. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I'm in charge of that, not you.
Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.
The whole point of that experience when you react is for you to take time to look at yourself, not to wait for someone else external of you to decide they're ready to have a meeting with you to talk about your choice on response.
Random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead.
I've spent so much time here. I've invested so much work and time here. Why do I have to be the one to go? No, I should fight. I can fix this. I should fight. I've put so much effort into this position and job and time because of how passionate I am.
A safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as three. We bring freedom.
How you're treated in the field during your work. I'm talking about checking off if those values align with your own, or if they at least hit the mark on some where it's tolerable.
What was once one turned into three. Reconnecting with
You
our
can't
family,
push
a
and
safe
force
space to
change
speak
on an
authentically. We
environment
raise
that
our cups,
clearly has
unifying as three.
established
We
their
bring
own
freedom in
boundaries for how
community.
they're going to run
Random
things.
thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency. What was once one turned into three. Reconnecting with our family, a safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as three. We bring freedom in community. Random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency. What was once one turned into three. Reconnecting with our family, a safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as three. We bring freedom in community. Random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome Three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.
Own it. Own when you are reacting to something. Own it without shame. Own it. They also have a right to approach and confront you too with your choice of reaction, and when you choose to make a choice on how you react to something, own it. Yeah, you did do that. Yeah, you did say that. Yeah, you did act like that. Yeah. Don't make excuses. Don't redirect blame. Own that you chose to act that way. Your emotions are fluid. This isn't about holding an image anymore. This isn't about professionalism. It's not about that anymore. It's about you owning yourself shamelessly. Regardless how they respond to your choice of reaction. While you also need to look at what experiences you have tolerated for as long as you have to where it caused you to react in that manner in the first place. How long did you tolerate something to the point that you had a buildup big enough to react in that manner? You have to hold yourself accountable there too. It's not just them trying to hold you accountable. Honestly, in these moments, the only person that really should be holding anyone accountable in predicaments like that is themselves. Yeah, you can have your meetings, your talks, whatever, but you don't need them. You really don't. Okay? If anything, the meetings are just an official, professional way of saying, please, watch yourself. Or look in the mirror at yourself. And truth be told, like, no. No, 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 no. You don't get to tell me to look at myself. I will look at myself when I want to. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I'm in charge of that, not you. Okay, you're in charge of just managing the department and making sure that people are being nice to each other, and that is okay. That is your job. That is not my job. Okay, your job is not to manage my emotions. It's mine. Okay. It's very easy to fall into this idea that because they're having a meeting with you that this turns things into them now being involved in how you're responding to or reacting to whatever injustices or corrupt experiences or just basically just outright uncalled for, unwarranted behavior. Okay? That a blind eye gets turned to, or that gets ignored, or isn't owned and confronted, or isn't being held accountable for. The whole point of that experience when you react is for you to take time to look at yourself, not to wait for someone else external of you to decide they're ready to have a meeting with you to talk about your choice on response. If anything, that meeting should actually be held about, one, y'all need to look at your own staff after I give you my report. But don't be talking to me about my emotions. I will handle that part. And it's easy to confuse the two because it's very easy to mix emotions in with legitimate objective facts that need to be reported. It's very easy to do that. And if you, the person who reacted, does not know how to separate your feelings from the objective, clear-cut statements and facts you need to relay in order to report legitimate behavior and unwarranted behavior, you have to first sit with yourself before you even have that kind of meeting. Hell, you can choose to basically not even have the meeting at all if you really don't want to. Because sometimes we just don't feel safe in those kind of meetings at that point if we've reached that point too. Where, no, we're not going to feel safe sitting and talking to you. If anything, you're just going to waste your own time by making a meeting with us if we don't even want to talk to you. Maybe we've said enough. Maybe you've said enough. Maybe you've expressed enough in terms of neutral communication, and now you've reacted due to their lack of response. Objective action response. But let's go back to them asking, oh, what led up to this? Let's go back to that. Them listening, taking down what you say in that meeting if you choose to share anything, it's only going to lead to a blind eye, and as harsh as this sounds, them still underhandedly wanting to protect a position that is much harder to replace than the one that is retaliating. So then you have to sit with yourself and figure out, have I outgrown this place? I've spent so much time here. I've invested so much work and time here. Why do I have to be the one to go? No, I should fight. I can fix this. I should fight. I've put so much effort into this position and job and time because of how passionate I am. That's the trap, y'all. That's the trap. You become focused on what you've invested into an environment that wasn't transparent and honest from the jump, and you had to find out the hard way due to the lack of transparency and honesty that was shown up from the jump you stepped into that interview, the moment you stepped into that training area. Honestly, it comes down to now you being responsible for where you're going to be placing yourself, because companies have boundaries too. If you're choosing to work at a company and you're just picking one just to pick one, and you're not making sure or finding ways to see if their values align with your values, and I'm not talking about the ones they write out and put on the bulletin board or put in the training for you to watch and describe because of a standard they want to uphold for an image. I'm talking about the values that you see when you're actually in the field doing the work. How you're treated in the field during your work. I'm talking about checking off if those values align with your own, or if they at least hit the mark on some where it's tolerable in a sense, where you're like, okay, it's not perfect, but you know, I could see that I can do this. Where you're going to then have to reevaluate boundaries you need to put in for yourself in order to protect you in the areas where there's values that you can see aren't being met, right? But if you're not actively paying attention to doing this from the jump, when you start, not from when you start with the training, I'm talking about when you start the actual experience, you have to take responsibility for the position you then put yourself in, because you can't push and force change on an environment that clearly has established their own boundaries for how they're going to run things. Especially if you're operating in a mentality of, I can fix everything. I can fix this. I can fix that. I see exactly what's wrong here, and I know that if this is fixed, it'll be completely fixed and we won't have to deal with this anymore. That is someone that's transitioning into the mindset of someone who becomes a veteran at complaining for change. Eventually, there gets a point where if you choose to not look at yourself and take responsibility for now realizing you've outgrown your own environment that you're working in, or you can see that the values of this environment isn't aligning with your own work values, you become complacent because of how much you've already invested, how much energy and time you've already invested. You become complacent and wanting to complain about wanting this change, to where you become then the people that you had to deal with if you originally were the one that were hired on to bring change, and you then met people who were seasoned in basically rebelling against you for bringing change in the first place, because it wasn't aligned with what change they were expecting, because they didn't know they had to change while everything else around them was changing too, right? Now you're going to be putting yourself in that complacent position of then doing the same thing, because you're choosing not to look and take responsibility for yourself, because it's easier to still point the finger at what you can see is not changing. You'd rather just be in a mindset of, oh, if this gets fixed, if I can fix this, let me rally up enough people who see if they're agreeing in the same category as I am, or what I'm thinking, and then maybe we can do something. Nothing's actually going to happen, truth be told, unless the actual owner, chief executive officer, CEO, whoever is in charge of that facility and the facility's operations, if they're not on board with whatever network creation you're creating, nothing's going to happen. And if they say they are, and they actually take your responses and read them, and nothing gets done, that's your answer. That's your answer, y'all. Read between the lines and recognize and know they're not obligated to change something just because you're complaining about it. That's still their environment, to be completely honest with you. But they're not going to tell you up front because they don't want you quitting.
Coming up on 3 of Cups.
That is the truth when it comes to speaking in environments you work in, and what is in between the lines when you read them.
Family, a safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as 3. We bring freedom.
If y'all aren't honest with your own employees, you can expect turnover if you're not transparent about what they can actually expect when it comes to the feedback they provide. Let's say there is a conversation. Let's say there is a hashing out. Let's say, oh, well, y'all don't really know what I'm already doing or going out of my way for to help you guys out already. Then there's a guilt trip effect going on in place.
Speak authentically, we raise our cups, unifying as 3. We bring freedom in community. Random
Some
thoughts and
positions
golden
in
nugget treats.
management
Welcome three
are
of Cups
unfair
community.
as fuck.
Let's go ahead and raise the
You're
frequency.
taking shots on all sides. Yeah. Does that position align with your work values? Probably not, if you're taking shots from all sides and you feel like you're being worked against more than you're actually being worked with.
A safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as three. We bring freedom in community.
This is a tango dance when it comes to these work environments. It is not a finger pointing, let's look at management, let's look at employees, let's look at owners, no, this is a tango dance here. This is a two-way street. This is maybe a three-way street, but we'll stick with the tango for now, which is a two-person dance, okay? Each person has to hold themselves responsible for how they show up and how responsible they are. If they don't do that, you're inevitably creating your own chaos and your own suffering.
What was once one turned into three. Reconnecting with our family. A safe space to speak authentically. We raise our cups, unifying as three. We bring freedom in community. Random thoughts and golden nugget treats. Welcome three of Cups community. Let's go ahead and raise the frequency.